Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. Oh, I didn't check the comments. Hold on, let me go pull that up real quick. It slipped my mind because we didn't have any last week. I wonder if we had any this week. I don't remember. Anyway, we're here. We're looking at this thing. I do have some stuff to show you because I did stuff between last episode and this episode. Although, as you may expect, it was mostly AI stuff. This is episode 72. Last week was episode 71. Shut that off. I don't need to actually watch the video. Okay, no comments. Alright, well, we are working this out. We were here last time. We did a lot of work here, but it was mostly this area here, like from over there to here, which is not insignificant. It's pretty good. But we do still have a lot remaining. This area that I have to finish filling in, you know? And I'm going to try to do it a little bit more quick and dirty than we have been because it's been taking a lot of time. I don't really want to be spending all this time on something so simple, relatively speaking, as just some ground. And so, you know, that sort of means to me that I've got to go faster. And the fact that, you know, the last few videos haven't get a lot of traction. Maybe it's because of the holiday season, but maybe it's because this is boring, which admittedly it kind of is. Now, anyway, so we have to get all this wrapped up, but let's talk about for a minute what I did in the meantime. The first thing was I got a trolley running. So I went down there, I set up some tracks, so now it loops around in the in Doe Cliff. So there's a place you can short turn it there on the roads in Doe Cliff, and you know that makes things, you know, relatively easy to run right now. I only have one trolley programmed, but it's, you know, it's fairly simple. The thing that I could do, the thing that I should do next is to have it set up such that it actually stops at specific locations instead of just sort of moseying on through, which is all it does right now. It doesn't really do much of anything. It just drives, and you know, it provides a nice background, but it'd be better if it actually stopped at certain locations for, you know, a few seconds a piece. You know, even better if I actually set up some invisible stations, that sort of thing. I'd be happy with getting that wrapped up. Maybe we'll work on that in just a little bit. Now, again, no questions or comments in the last episode, so I don't really have anything to discuss or clarify or whatever. You know, we're not in the really interesting portion of the series, but, you know, if there's anything that springs to your mind, I'd be more than happy to discuss it. Last episode, was it last episode? I spent a lot of time talking about my car conundrums. Yes. So things have been getting, well, things have developed. The car is at the mechanic. The 940, the sedan, is at the mechanic. The wagon is still going, for the most part. I still have no overdrive, but I'll work on that sooner or later. It does have... It was acting up because... So the battery was toast. The battery was 7 years old. If you guys don't have a car or deal with car batteries very often, that's a pretty good lifespan for a battery. Usually you'll get like 5 years out of a car battery, you know, and 7 is about where it tops out. So 7 years out of that battery that, you know, it wasn't mine. That, you know, 6 of those years were with another owner, or more than that. But that's just, you know, that's what it is. And now I called up AAA, they brought me another battery, and, you know, there you go. I was given the recommendation by the guy at AutoZone to actually call AAA, despite the fact that I have only a couple of AAA calls. Well, I only have one left now, for the entire year of my membership, which is from November to November. So in the last couple of months, I've gone through almost all of them. Oh well, at least you can still call them afterwards. They just charge a fee, unfortunately. And so, because of that, you know, I'll have to use my last one carefully, as it were. But we'll blow up that bridge when we come to it. So, anyway, yeah, we called, well, I used my dad's call to get the other car to the mechanic. So he used one of his for me, which was very nice of him. We had to put plates on it so that they could tow it, because they don't tow vehicles that are unregistered. So we did that, but that's not the registration that's going to end up on it, because I'm going to register it as an antique in the state of Rhode Island. And the advantage of that is, it does not have to pass any inspections if you do that. Which, you know, sort of is the only reason I'm doing that. It would be a lot to get it to properly pass safety inspection. I mean, I think it would get past emissions without too much of an issue, because it's not super old. But I'm fairly certain it would not pass safety without a lot of work. Now, that's because, as explained, the airbags have detonated in the car, the SRS system is effectively toast. I think it's SRS system, it should be just SRS. The SRS is toast. I think it's, yeah, the safety restraint system, something, SRS, I don't know. I don't know what SRS actually stands for. I think you guys are gathering that from what I'm saying. But, you know, it's a Volvo, it has all those fancy things, anti-lock brakes, power windows, power antenna. It's a, you know, it's got the whole 9 yards, everything that you could need. So, it's even got 2 airbags, whereas my 93 only has 1 airbag. So, you double the airbags. It makes it so much safer. Unfortunately, they don't work, so it doesn't actually make it any safer right now. It also has a seatbelt where the detonator, which is part of the system, went off in the crash, so it locked the seatbelt into place. The driver's seatbelt is fine, the passenger seatbelt is not fine. So anyway, that's something that I do intend to get fixed. But the airbags are a distant, whatever. There's not a number that goes there. It's going to be a while before I care about that. Get it to run and drive, and then get it inspected, or not inspected, get it registered as an antique, put some antique plates on it, get some antique insurance for it, and call it a day. And then only use it either when I'm going to, like, a show, which would be cool, I will do that at some point, or when I am going to, or when I need to, I guess. See, that's the thing. I never like doing this. I don't like taking advantage of the law. But, unfortunately, due to my circumstances, where I just have basically a pair of clunkers, I may have to use it in situations where my other car does not work. And in those situations, I will not be driving very far. I will probably drive to work, which is, as explained, all of 5 minutes away. But it's just, that's just what's going to have to happen. I'm not looking forward to doing that. It's supposed to be like a special event car, because it's effectively a family heirloom, or it is to me. So, yeah, that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. I don't think I'm ever really planning on registering it as a regular car. I may get a dual registration, but I'm not certain. You know, I still will probably be, no matter what, driving it very minimally. So, anyway, I explained a lot of this previously. I just wanted to say that it's there. I haven't heard back from my mechanic yet, but he was swamped when I dropped that thing off. He had told me, hey, this will be a good day to drop it off. I should have a lot of room. We get there, and the place is jammed. It is packed with cars. So he had some things come up, and he was not able to say, hey, hold on, you know, don't bring it right now. And either way, we had already had it worked out. So, unfortunately, it was a little bit of a pain in the neck for him, but I hope it works out just fine. And as for the AAA guy, he was very nice, and he gave me a new battery, or I purchased it from AAA, which was like $150, which is marginally cheaper than AutoZone was going to be. It's just, they, you know, at AutoZone they were like, oh, it'll be a lot cheaper through AAA if you have AAA. It was not a lot cheaper. It was, you know, a few bucks cheaper. It was $10 maybe, was the difference. So, it really depends on the battery, I suppose. So anyway, I digress. That was my adventure with that. He went to put the battery in, and he touched one of the terminals, not of the battery, but of the wires, to something else in the car, in the engine bay. And the engine was running. And the engine sort of spazzed out. It really kicked up the revs, and he's like, whoa, 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 calm down. And the revs came back down, but after that it's been acting funny, which doesn't surprise, or shouldn't surprise, anyone. Now, Volvos, for all that they are, all the wondrous, indestructibility of their red block engines and their, fully welded frames and that sort of thing, everything about them, impeccable safety record, Volvos have their Achilles heel just like any other vehicle. It's the electronics. I've talked about how the electronics in older 240 wagons are particularly susceptible to just basically giving up on you. Fortunately, this is a newer one, but that still doesn't mean it won't go through a gauge cluster like a celebrity goes through boyfriends or something, or a celebrity goes through significant others, I guess. Because I didn't specify the sex of celebrity. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, it can go through a lot of them. A lot of them really quick. And that's not good. And on the whole, the electronics will just sort of go, never mind. And they won't work. And every time I get the inkling that something in the electronics might be an issue, I get very concerned, because that can be a lot of money right away. And because of the issue with the SRS in the 940, that could be a lot of money. There could be a lot of components there that need to be just outright replaced, and, effectively the entire system needs to be redone. It's almost as if it was submerged, and it's been severely water damaged, the electronics have. So, it remains to be seen what kind of real issues that this is going to bring up. I don't think the squirrels got at it, anything like that. The guy there, Tony, he's going to be telling me, okay, you need this, you need this, you need this. He's going to give it a once-over, tell me if he thinks the car is viable, that sort of thing. I am of the opinion that it probably is, because the only thing I'm really concerned about is the frame. If that's coming undone, there's really nothing that can be done about it. It's definitely not worth it. It would need an overhaul, effectively. But with this car, because it might be a lot of superficial parts, things that can be replaced, it probably isn't going to be that big of a deal. So, it may be expensive, but it won't be like, okay, tear the whole car down and start again. That's at least what I'm hoping. Anyway, it is almost Christmas, and Hanukkah was early this month, so it's not like it's almost the holidays, although I guess New Year's is a holiday. And I don't know when any other holidays are, to be honest. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm uncultured. I apologize. But, Hanukkah was really early this month. It was December 2nd it started. Because, I only know that because of Madison, but, that's just when it was. And now we're coming up on Christmas. So, I went out today and I did some Christmas shopping. Now, I'm hoping that everyone here has done a Yankee swap at some point. Now, maybe not. I've met a lot of people that haven't, but it is a really fun experience most of the time. You walk out with something that, you didn't expect to get or whatever, and the sort of the trading aspect of it, or stealing or whatever you want to call it, is fun. For those who haven't done a Yankee swap, the procedure is as follows. Everybody brings a gift under a certain price point, whether that be $25 or $50 or $10 or whatever. Everyone brings a gift, wrapped up, so you don't know what it is. They put the gift in a central location, and everyone goes around and picks numbers out of a hat or whatever. So, obviously, as you might expect, the person with number 1 goes first, and the number 2, and the number 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. So, number 1 goes up to the pile of gifts and picks one for themselves and unwraps it in front of everybody. And then well, they're the first person, so nothing. They keep it. That's their gift now. And then the second person goes up, grabs a gift, unwraps it in front of everybody. Everybody gets to see what it is, and they decide if they want to keep it or swap with person number one. And this is not something that person number one has any choice in. If they say, hey, I want that, you give up your gift if you're person number one, and you get whatever person number two's gift was. So, that's how I've done it most of the time. Sometimes they do it where you don't unwrap the gift before you decide to steal, or you don't even pick one if you want to steal. The person you stole from gets to pick. Again, that sort of thing. But, it may be different for different people. They play it different ways, but this is the one that I'm most familiar with. This is the one that most people tend to play, I think. At least that I know. So, person number one goes up, picks a gift. Person number two goes up, picks a gift, and then decides if they want to switch that gift with person number one. And then person number three goes up, picks a gift, unwraps it, and they decide if they want to switch that gift with person number one or person number two. You can probably understand where this is going from here. You get all the way down the line to the last person. The last person picks the last gift. They unwrap it. They decide if they want that gift or anyone else's gift in the entire room. So, that means, you'd think, the last person has it the best. They unwrap their gift, they decide if they want it, and if they do, they keep it, and if not, they get any other gift, and nobody is there to contest them. But they're wrong. The person that gets to pick if they want to trade last is the person that went first, because they never got the opportunity to swap with somebody. So they get to pick if they want to trade or steal, I guess you could call it, last, when all the gifts are unwrapped. So that means, in that version at least, because the balance of power can be shifted into different versions, it is really good to have a late number, but it's best to have number one. And pretty much every version I know, it's best to have number one, because that person gets to go last. They get to pick last from everybody else's gift, from everyone else that's there. All the gifts that got contributed, so it's not like they're stealing your actual Christmas gifts. These are gifts that you bring. You don't expect to get yours. It's sort of weird to get the gift that you brought there, because then basically you're just buying something for yourself. So if you go specifically for your own gift, you're not really playing, the game that you came there to play. So, that's, I don't know. That's the way it is. That's a Yankee swap, and we're doing one at work. So I'm excited for this. I think you can call me names all you want. I'm gonna re-gift something because I know there are things that I'm probably never gonna get around to doing. At one point, I got given one of those little robot kits. You might see them at craft stores or whatever, and you put the pieces together, you put batteries in it, and it walks or whatever. Or it shakes itself along. I've done one of those before. They are pretty fun. They're entertaining. But I unfortunately don't have a whole lot of time for that. Between making this and the podcast and just trying to enjoy myself with some other games, I'm not really one to sit down and build something with my hands. It's not something that I'm really good at. It's not something that I do very often. It's something that I've done previously, like for projects and stuff, and I've really enjoyed it. But that is really when I had access to, like, the facilities at RPI. Here's the thing about going to an engineering college like that. You get all sorts of cool stuff to play with. And it really depends on the school what that stuff exactly is. But in a lot of cases, it can be very, very handy. Just unlimited supplies of electronic components and solder and soldering stations and, that sort of thing. These things that, you'd think, okay, maybe I would own one of those, but when you're in college, you probably don't. Especially if you're like me and you don't do these kind of projects on the regular. You kind of, you do stuff when you feel like it. If I was still at RPI, I would probably spend much more time building things than I will or would ever do here at home. Because, I mean, the first thing is, you have all these different labs to do it in at RPI. Here I just have a garage that isn't even very well heated. So in the winter it's kind of, it's right out. I'm not doing that. And the other thing is, when you're in college you don't have a job. You have work and stuff like that. You have work to do, homework or whatever. But doing work for your classes can be kind of sporadic, and you can help people with it, and you can sort of move around when you want to do it. So you can do it all at once, or you can spread it out. At work, it's, you go there, you show up, you do your time, and then you come home. And that's it. That's every day you do that. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that's bad, because, for the most part, it's really not. It's nice to have a schedule. But, it's less flexible. It's less flexible than being a college kid and having access to all these cool things and, being able to do, effectively, whatever the hell you want, with all this cool stuff. So, that's, one of the things that I miss from college there. Anyway, we did have, so, I wasn't a partier in college, so I can't say I missed that, but I have now been to 2 Christmas parties or, holiday parties or whatever, for WSP, for my company. And they've both been really fun. One of them was more, I sort of got the spread of parties. One was a little bit more formal. You sit down, you get, it's buffet style, but, you go up table by table, and you get your food, and you sit back down, and you talk to the people at your table, that sort of thing. This second one was on a boat in Boston Harbor, and it was really cool despite the fact that it was freezing, because you could go outside on the deck and get these beautiful views of the city of Boston, and like the bridges and the harbor and Logan Airport, and we had some really cool low passes of planes heading into Logan. And I'm going to delete some of these trees. Goodbye. I don't know. That was really great. That was really entertaining to witness, because it was really impressive. So, went to this party. Obviously, it's one of these company affairs. You get a +1. So Madison got to meet my coworkers. I got to meet my coworkers' significant others. Great bunch of people. I really do love working where I do. And, having these parties, especially, it's a free meal, too. That's nice. That's always nice. But having these events where we do this kind of stuff, and then they had, like, a dance floor and music and everything, it was really fun. And so I can't wait. I don't know what other parties they do. I assume it's just like a holiday party, like an annual holiday party, and that's probably it. There are some other small get-togethers. Like I said, the Yankee Swap is coming up. I'm excited for that. I hope I walk away with something cool. Maybe, maybe not. I might walk away with my own thing. That's the other thing. If you don't feel like you have a great gift, and you take your own thing, and then the other people, don't take it from you, then it means that, maybe, people were more content with what they got, so, it's okay, just take your thing back and, either use it yourself or whatever. Obviously, that makes more sense if, you're doing something like I'm doing, where it's something that I already have, and I'm putting it in there, sort of as a, I'm sure people will appreciate this, I just don't have time to. Here you go, everyone. I don't know. I did have an excellent experience at a Yankee Swap at one point. Now, if you guys ever go to Providence, Rhode Island, during the summer, you will probably hear about or know about Waterfire. Waterfire is a celebration of the arts, so to speak. There are 70-something, braziers along the Providence River, and these are basically floating baskets of wood, effectively. They're metal baskets, you put wood in them and you set them alight. And so you have a series of almost like campfires down the middle of the Providence River. It's a spectacle. It's beautiful. If you're ever in the neighborhood in the summer, you get the opportunity to go. It's always crowded, of course, because people love it. but, part of it is just being there and seeing it and witnessing it, and it's always a beautiful time. There are things on shore. There are normally booths. You can buy merch, and you can buy, like, candy apples or kettle corn or, sort of like, almost like carnival-style food places. And as well, there are candle bags, luminaria, where you write, like, a dedication. Sometimes there's live music around the corner. Starry, Starry Night is the thing. You've got stars that hang up between the trees. Big paper stars that have lights inside of them, and again, you write, like, a wish on a star, and they hang it up. I don't know. It's always fun. I volunteered for many years, for 10 years, between when I was 7 and when I was 17, and then I went away to college. And I did have a great time while I was doing it, and every year they would do a Yankee swap. So, every year, I would go out there with my mom, bring a gift, and see what I got in return. Now, one year, now you think about it, I'm like 13, 14, still pretty much a kid, I would say. At least looking back. Obviously, at that age, I felt very mature. Nothing could stop me. I was an adult, practically. But 13 or 14, just coming out of middle school, going into high school. And this takes place during the winter, because that's when you do Yankee swaps, really. I go up there. It's my turn. I go up there. There are still quite a few gifts left. What am I, the teenager, going to make a beeline for? I'm going to make a beeline for the biggest, heaviest box that I can find. Because these little bags, maybe it has like a gift card or a movie, maybe wrapped up, or CDs or something. Like what could be in these boxes? Or what could be in these little bags, really? Dunkin' Donuts gift card, okay, that's cool. But, I want something big. I want something in the box. I go and get the biggest box I can find. It's pretty good size. It's like a foot by a foot by, whatever. It's, maybe it's not that big. But the way I remember it, it was the biggest box there. I pick the thing up. It's got some weight to it. I'm like, ooh, what could this be? What could this be? I finally, I look at my mom. I unwrap the thing. It's a 6-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon. I am 13 years old, or 14, and everyone is cracking up. And I just sort of hung on to it, like, alright, I guess this is mine now. I'm not gonna drink it. I have no, I don't want to in the first place, but I won't drink this, but this is mine now. And eventually somebody took it away from me. I don't remember what I got in return, like some movie with a gift card strapped to the bottom or something like that. It was nice. It was a nice gift in the end. But for a fleeting moment, I had been given a 6-pack of beer. Not great beer, mind you. Not that I'm a beer connoisseur, because I'm the opposite of a beer connoisseur, but from everything that I've heard, it's like, Pabst is not. It's not your top of the line beverage. So, yeah, that was. I always love to tell that story when Yankee swaps come up, because it's just, it cracks people up. It's the best. But something else that cracks me up, and this happens, or this is how I keep myself occupied at work. And I don't mean just with the work, because I'm doing work. I do work. Trust me, I do. I don't think I need to convince you guys of that anyway. But I do work at work most of the time. But in the background, I like to have something playing. Now, I have 3 monitors, because I am a boss. Actually, everyone gets 2 monitors and a docking station, if they have a laptop. And because you have the docking station and the laptop, it means that you can plug your laptop in and not close it and have a 3rd monitor. So, I do that all the time, or every time. I will always have my 3 monitors, because I have 2 monitors then for work, and 1 monitor for something else, or 3 monitors for work, if need be. Which the need has arisen at times, when I've really got a bunch of stuff going on at once and I need to pay attention to emails and then a go-by document and then like CAD, something like that. It can get hairy, but, you know, when I have 3 monitors, I can play something on the 3rd monitor. And for the most part, my boss does not really care. He's asked me before, hey, what are you looking at? And then I'll explain it, and he'll go, okay, well, don't get too distracted. And I'll go, okay, and he, I receive praise. It's not like it's cutting into my work productivity, anything like that. In fact, it helps me because I really need something else for the back of my mind to focus on so that I don't get super distracted. And so I went through the Great War, and I've talked about that before. Really fantastic show. And at some point I intend to start watching their World War II show, which started coming out recently. But until I'm done with everything on the Great War channel, I don't intend to leave it behind. So I'm going to do that. I'm wrapping up the videos there. But one of the other things that I'm listening to and watching sometimes I'm watching, in the background, is a TV show made in our very own Providence, Rhode Island courthouse called Caught in Providence. And it is Caught, C-A-U-G-H-T, but of course, if you recognize the accent, you realize when you get a ticket in Providence, you go to court. So, Caught in Providence is the show, and it has this amazing man, Judge Frank Caprio, as this, he's an older dude, he's Italian, he's, a very lenient judge. And sometimes he definitely, brings the book down on people. It's not uncommon that he will get frustrated with somebody and whatever. But most of the time, he's, lowering the fines, dismissing the fines, doing what he can to help people out, because a lot of the people that come in to fight a ticket are the people that can't afford to pay it. If you can afford it, the majority of the time, you're just going to pay it. You're not going to go through the hassle of going, taking a day out of work and going to court. So yeah. It gives this slice of life. It's a bit of a biased slice of life for Providence, but it gives a cross section of a good number of the folks in Providence, and of course those who end up with tickets. And he's mostly fielding like parking tickets, red lights, red light violations, speeding violations, simple stuff. Not like murder cases. He is just a municipal court. So, they keep it simple. It's not cops or live PD where there's serious goings on. It's really entertaining. I cannot stress that enough. I sit and work and I crack up sometimes to just, again, not even watching it sometimes, just hearing it in the background. There was somebody who comes up to the stand. He's another very, very Italian guy. And he comes up and he goes, he's explaining, he wants to get out of this parking ticket, and, the judge sort of humors him. He goes, okay, all right, you want to negotiate? And he says, yeah, I want to negotiate. All right, how much do you want to pay? Judge Caprio says. And he goes, $10. And the judge goes, no. And he goes, what? I thought we were supposed to be negotiating. All right, yeah, no, I rejected that offer. Give me another offer. He goes, okay, $20. No. Give me higher, more. $30. No. And it was a pretty, it was probably like an $85 ticket, something like that. And he goes, no, something higher. What do you want to pay? And the guy goes, 31. And his delivery, obviously, I can't even come close to it. But his delivery was just so beautiful. Like, it couldn't have been scripted. It was amazing. I'm sure it could have been. A very talented actor could have pulled that off. But this guy was, cracking up, making jokes, and very, very quick-witted. And he's asking about, there's a lot of witty guys that come up, and the judge loves to do banter with them. And there was one that, it might have been the same guy who was saying that, he couldn't pay right away, and the judge said, and he whips out this line a lot, he says, the city has been here since 1636. Hopefully it'll be here another, however many years. Sometimes he says 1636 years, which is a little bit misleading, but, whatever. Hopefully it'll be here another 1636 years. So, we can wait. We can wait. You can pay when you have the money to pay. It was okay. But he says the city was founded in 1636, and the guy goes, yeah, and you were the year after. Now, Judge Cabrio's an older guy, but I don't think he's 400. He certainly doesn't look it, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, all right, we're making good progress. We have to close this gap. In 35 minutes, we painted this whole area, which is pretty freaking good, if I do say so myself. We have this area and this area to do, and this area over here. Now, I'm not about to try and close the gap, even though I know I should want to. Let me fill in this here while I'm here, because this is something that needs to be done, this gravel, this ballast. Painting over another texture is son of a gun. I can't wait until Trains 2019 comes out, because that runs so much better. And I'm probably going to upgrade straight away. I'm looking forward to upgrading as quickly as possible. Just sort of move forward onto a better version. Tane has been very good to me. It's not been good to some other people, but it's been very good to me. So, yeah, it's time to move on. I'm happy with Tane. The stuff that came out with it, the interlocking towers, everything, but mostly the interlocking towers. Those were a game changer. They allow you to do some stuff that you could really not get away with otherwise. And I am so happy that they are in the game in the state that they are. They are the way that they are, and that they work as well as they do. If you do right by them, they will work very, very well for you. So, I'm very much appreciative of interlocking towers, and the other things that Tane brought with it. The adaptive smoke, even though it only works sometimes. The train rocking physics, the track quality, the new commands and stuff like that. It's all very, very good. See, the thing with these games is they're very iterative. You rarely get something, unbelievably groundbreaking in a new version. Now, the thing that they push, the thing that they have always pushed, because they have it up over pretty much everybody else, they're the easiest way you can do this kind of thing, is that they have Surveyor. And so, the inklings of multiplayer Surveyor coming in the next release really gets me excited. That's what I want. I know that everyone's up in arms because of the possibility of a subscription service, but when you're running a service like that, I think it's a paltry sum. It's a small price to pay to have features like that and to have ongoing development of a game. Now, whether you love or hate the idea of games as a service model, the fact of the matter is more games are going in that direction because people want to be able to, A, continually get revenue from their games, and B, be able to use that revenue to continue production of their games. Because for the most part, if you think back in the olden days, before the internet was widespread and before you had online consoles and things like that, before things like Xbox Live, once you released a game, that was it. If it was a beautiful masterpiece or a buggy nightmare, that was going to be its legacy. It could never, ever change that unless you recalled it, fixed it, and then gave it back. Or sold it again. So, there were games, there were instances where that happened, but there were plenty of games that were terrible and it never got better because the developers either did not have the money to make it better, or they gave up on trying immediately. One of the most famous ones is E.T. And you can look up that whole story for yourself, but yeah, that was a very old game that went just horribly badly, just absolutely horrific. And of course, nothing could be done about it, so that was the end for E.T. Anyway, that, we're seeing this a lot now, where games come out where they're friggin' broken. Like Fallout 76, or, what's the other one? Battlefield 5 has had a lot of issues. What was the other one? I'm trying to remember. There was definitely a third game, although, well, people were up in arms about Red Dead 2's balancing patch, although for the most part it came out without too much trouble. For the most part, you see these games come out and something's wrong with them. Either the community's up in arms for one reason or another, and a lot of the time, it's because there are some serious issues within the game, or, about the game, some things that needed to be fixed before the game came out, and they were not. Again, Fallout is the biggest one right now, which really makes me sad, because Madison and I love Fallout. But now, the thing that people can do is, the thing that developers can do, I should say, is fix their damn game, given time. The biggest thing that I can think of for this is No Man's Sky, which, I will be honest, I was a little bit hyped for No Man's Sky when it came out. I had heard about it, and I'd heard about Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm really interested in these games. Like, just not just one specific game, like, I'm interested in these games as a whole. No Man's Sky came out, it was a disaster. Elite Dangerous is a fantastic game. Star Citizen, I don't know what's happening with Star Citizen, but they exist. Like, there are modules that work, and then there's old school EVE Online, which that's its own game. That's its own world. But anyway, No Man's Sky came out, disaster, absolute PR mess. Because there were things that they had said were going to be in the game, and they had bitten off way more than they could chew, and those things just weren't there. And there just wasn't enough to do. And so, now you have this game, which a lot of people were very excited for, and it just didn't have the content. It's the question of, well, now what? And I don't know. And they just, they sort of disappeared. The company, Hello Games, sort of disappeared from the face of the earth for a couple of months, if I recall correctly, at least. Like 3 months. And then they came back. And they came out with updates. Huge updates. Game-changing updates that, absolutely changed the face of what you can do, or what you could do in the game, down to, half-decent multiplayer, and base building, and more interesting, stuff on planets, things like that. Again, I haven't played it. I never bought it. I never got around to it. It was one of those games that it was on my radar, and it sounded really cool, and then I went, oh yeah, it sounds really cool. I'm not sure I'm going to drop the money on this, because I've got other games to play. And so, that's pretty much exactly what happened. I subscribed to the subreddit, and it came out, and I watched everything go to hell, and then I watched the game crawl its way back from the edge of oblivion and make itself decent with all the work that Hello Games put into it, all the work that those developers did. It was spectacular to see that game become what it is. It sort of gave me a lot of hope for a lot of these games that came out and were, relatively disappointing. Red Dead multiplayer is the one on the brain right now. Fallout 76 is the big one in the public conscience right now. One of the old ones is Sea of Thieves, which was a very entertaining concept, but did not have, like, the content there to execute, which is unfortunate, because, again, very, very entertaining concept, very cool, but just, not enough. Not enough game in my game. I never spent the money on that one, despite the fact that I think I could have had a lot of fun with John and with Weibold. They were both willing to get it. But it just, I felt like, maybe I'll spend some time on this, but it isn't there. It's not there yet. And I'm not sure what has changed. I'm not totally certain what's changed since then. I just know that things have changed. To some extent. I'm gonna leave that like that. So, I'm proud of these developers that are putting in the time and the effort to produce these games and to make them decent, but you would really hope, you would really expect that a game would be good out of the box. That you don't have to wait past launch day to get a game. Because at that point, what's the point of launch day? People pre-ordering it, which I'm not a fan of pre-orders, but people pre-ordering games or buying them on launch day and expecting this good, polished experience are not getting what they were advertised. And, you'd think that people would learn, but in so many ways, they haven't. Because people keep pre-ordering games, and, game companies keep coming out with games that are like this. You can't have your continued revenue stream if nobody buys your game in the first place. The other model is the freemium model, the free-to-play, sort of like War Thunder or, World of Tanks or Fortnite Battle Royale, particularly, not regular Fortnite, because that is not free-to-play. Or now, I think CSGO, I remember seeing CSGO was free-to-play now and has a Battle Royale mode, which that is really tempting, because I have never played any Battle Royale anything. I kind of want Black Ops 4, and I've never been a Call of Duty guy, but I kind of want Black Ops 4 because of the very polished Battle Royale and for the awesome Zombies mode. The fact that they have a map that's just the Titanic is really cool. I think, at least, as somebody who was fascinated with the Titanic as a kid. So, that's, I'll be honest. For the first time in a very long time, Call of Duty has grabbed my attention. They came out with a game that pretty much worked right out of the box. It had everything that people were asking for and more. It plays really well. It plays really smoothly, and it's got all these cool modes. So, what's not to love about Black Ops 4? Again, a very, very tempting game for me to get. I just don't have anybody that plays. I don't know too many other people that have an Xbox anymore, and that's where I play, my shooters. I don't feel right with a mouse and keyboard because I got used to, or I grew up with playing shooters on console. I've been playing. So, this goes into another story of mine. So, a few weeks ago, no, it was last week. It was last weekend because it was Football Sunday. That's why I remember. Football Sunday. We had some friends over, and they were here to watch the game. Well, one of them was here to watch the game. Johnny was here to watch the game. That's Rangeley, for those who know. For those who don't know. And we had Ian over as well. That's Blount. And Ian doesn't really have much of an interest in football. Madison has a passing interest in football. But unless everyone's up there watching football, she's going to be down with everybody else. So, her and Ian were down here, and I was down here as well. And I'm talking about down here in the den, where all my crap is. And, I would periodically go up and check the score or whatever. We lost. This was the Patriots game against the Dolphins in Miami. I knew that was coming. Not the particular play, but from the beginning of the game, I knew we were not coming out of there with a win, because it's Miami. and Miami is the kryptonite of the New England Patriots. And, and I'm not talking about the team, I'm talking about the city. We have not won in Miami, I think, since 2013, and that is A, bizarre, and B, become totally predictable at this point. You go down to Florida, and you're in bizarro world, all hell breaks loose. Cats and dogs living together, that sort of thing. Belichick coaching the Jets. How, Oh, that's happened before? Oh, sorry. Whatever. Things get weird down there. It's Florida. You guys understand. So, at any rate, they were watching the game upstairs. I was periodically going up there. But I decided to take advantage of the fact that Madison has her own controller that she uses for games on the computer, like Rocket League. And I told her to grab it, bring it over here, which she did very diligently. And we played the three of us, we played the hell out of some Halo multiplayer. Because the Master Chief Collection works now. And I mean it really works. It's great. And I was thoroughly enjoying myself, and they had some pretty good fun as well. We had a couple of games like Capture the Flag. It was like a Halo 2 Capture the Flag. That was a blast. And then we had one in Halo 4, and that was really fun as well. And then we had another one where we got ruffle stomped in Halo 4, and that wasn't that great. But the thing is, neither of them had witnessed the majesty of old school Halo Capture the Flag. And that was, Ian was like, man, it's so much better in this than Team Fortress. Like, I'm used to this being the worst game mode. And I was like, no, Capture the Flag is the quintessential Halo game mode. That's the game that you play. And, on the blue versus red battles. Anyway, speaking of, so we did that. I had so much fun. I cannot wait to play more Halo multiplayer whenever I get some people over. It's not like I have too many people that really come over for this. The other thing is, I need another controller. I can't play 4 players split screen without 4 controllers. We've only got 3 between Madison and I. And I do have another one, but it's a little bit broken. It just constantly looks up at the ceiling. So, it's not really that helpful. It's not great to use in combat, is what I'm saying. Anyway, we have that as an emergency backup controller, but it's not ideal. And otherwise, I've just got the 2 of my own, which have headset things on them, just to use with a headset. And otherwise, I have Madison's controller is a newer one that just has a headset jack, which is a problem because you can't control the volume on the headset you plug into that. So she just gets it blasting in her ears constantly. I don't know how to change that, but hopefully there's a way to, because that was really unpleasant. We swapped controllers after a while because her ears started to hurt, and I plugged in earbuds that are a little bit older and don't have as great of volume, so it was a little bit, it tempered it a little bit, but it was not great. So I need to do some research and figure out, okay, how do I lower the volume on this? What am I supposed to do? Because nobody needs to be ear raped while you're trying to play. It hampers your ability. So, anyway, we had so much fun. I really need to get back into Halo multiplayer. I've been playing a lot of BF1 still. I got back into that because, honestly, that is probably it's probably my favorite single shooter of all time. It has everything. It has amazing engagements. It has great gunplay, in my opinion. It has, all the different vehicles that really feel like they mean something. And it has this smorgasbord of game modes, but there's really only 1 or 2 that you should be playing. And those are Conquest, Rush, or the granddaddy of both of them. The beautiful, beautiful love child of Conquest and Rush. Operations. I thought like Objective. No, Objective is the type. Operations is possibly the best game mode in any game I've ever played. Operations is so immersive and so fantastic that I can play for hours upon hours upon hours. Now, there is one other game mode, except it doesn't get like any traffic these days, and they ruined it, quote unquote. They ruined it by changing the time limit. Now, it was fixing a bug, ostensibly. It was fixing a bug. It isn't something they did because they wanted to ruin the game mode. But in my opinion, they ruined Frontlines by fixing the timer. Previously, there was no timer on Frontlines. The game would just count up. And it was supposed to end at like 60 minutes, or 40 minutes. It was 40 minutes. It was supposed to end at 40 minutes. And so, okay, 40 minutes of game. Yeah, sure, why not? That's, what's wrong with that? Well, the thing that's wrong with that is Frontlines is a game mode where you capture, you start out at opposite ends of the map, and you charge toward the middle, you capture a point in the middle. Whoever captures that point, it shifts the entire battlefield in their favor. The next capture point is closer to the enemy's spawn, so to speak, or closer to the enemy's base. It's not really where they spawn, because the spawns move based on what point you've captured. So you capture the point, you get that zone, and it shifts the battlefield in that direction. If they capture it, it shifts it back the other way. If you capture it, it shifts it back, or it continues to shift it in that direction. And so, with no limit, because everyone gets infinite spawns, with no limit of time or spawns or anything like that, it is an objective game mode, yes, but it is an objective game mode with a lot else going on. Because what's happening is, now you're playing unlimited tug of war, effectively. But not tug of war, just regular war, where you're trying to capture the entire battlefield, but you can push forward and you can be knocked back, and then you can push forward and then you can be knocked back, and then you can push forward and then you can be knocked back. The game ends when you get all the way to the enemy's base and blow up the 2 telegraphs that they have back there. But in an hour and 20 minutes, you might not make, or in 40 minutes, you might never make it to the base, much less destroy both of the telegraphs, which they're destroyed by. You go there, you plant a bomb, and then you have to defend it while it counts down. And if the enemies get to it, they can defuse it. So, and again, you have to get both of them, and you have to get both of them within a certain number of lives at that point. So, then what happens is, you push all the way there, you don't get to destroy both of the telegraphs within your 50 lives that you have to do it or so, and then you get pushed back. And now you're back in the open fields playing Conquest again, trying to capture points. And so, you might capture the point again, and then get another run on their objectives, or they might capture the point again and push you back to, like, the middle of the map or whatever. There are some maps with 5 objectives, so 1 in the middle and then 2 for each team. There's some maps with, I think, 3, and there's one with, if I recall, 7. So you have the one in the middle, and then you have to win, quote-unquote, 3 times after that, just to get to the enemy's telegraphs for the first time. And, and like I said, you might not succeed. So that's the amazing thing about Frontlines, is it really gives you the war experience, and maybe I've talked about this years ago when I was really totally engrossed in it when it first came out. Frontlines, when you play 2 hours of Frontlines, which I have done, like a 2 hour and 60-minute game of Frontlines, you get that war weariness. And that's sort of a weird thing to be happy that you get out of a game. But you get that war weariness. You get that feeling of, I don't want to lose, but I want it to be over. I want this to wrap up. We should be finished with this by now. I'm running around and I'm killing and I'm doing the best I can, but we're not, we're not making headway. We need to end this. And, it's not like, oh God, I'm so tired of playing this game, but it's like, we've got to wrap this round up. This has to end at some point. And the thing with Frontlines is, no, it didn't. It could go on forever and ever and ever and ever until, people get tired, people get weary, some people quit, you might get some fresh, people in basically reinforcements. But, the other thing is the amount of the points you get, not the research, the experience you get from finishing a game of Frontlines that's 2 hours long is absolutely absurd. It's amazing. And that was one of the best things about it. But again, the really best thing about it was the fact that now you've got this absolute, as close as you can get it, this war feel. This feeling of, well, we are going to fight for as long as we can. We are going to do the best that we can until it is over. Not until the game ends, but until this is over. Because it's not arbitrarily decided. You don't run out of spawns. You don't run out of points, or you don't have all your objectives taken. You fight until you have pressed all the way to their base and destroyed it. Effectively. Within... I'm embellishing it a little bit. But until you get rid of those telegraphs, the fight will go on forever. Forever. And it was amazing. And I can't say that enough. And I would love to play old school Frontlines again. And now, then I had the time for it too. If it was like that now, that would be insane. Just like that, oh, but I've got to go to bed, but I want to finish this round, but I have no idea when it's going to end. You get so close, you get up to those objectives, you have both of them ticking down. You've set bombs on both places, suddenly the enemies come in, they disarm one of them, and you realize that, oh crap, we might not win right now. It might go back into the back and forth, it might go back into the tug of war. Oh crap, and you start panicking, you rush for that second objective, and you leave the first one unguarded because everyone's trying to get the second one armed just so you can, so you can finish them off. And they disarm the second one, and then you run out of spawns, and it's like, oh no. And you see that we are being pushed back. And you get pushed back, and you see the little conquest point unlock on the map, and you go, alright, let's get this before they do. And it is something to behold. They did something really right with that game mode. Not even really on purpose, but they did something really, really right. And, with everything that's going on lately, with DICE being DICE, like whatever the hell that they're doing, I don't know what they're trying to do. But they definitely made a good decision with that. I think Battlefield 1, the community might have groused a little bit with whatever. I don't even want to get into that. Although I will in a second, but from a different angle. Totally different angle. With everything that they did with that, with all the community groused, I think they made a great Battlefield game. I think it's the best one since BF3, which I know there's only BF4 in the middle, but BF4 I think was a misstep. I hold the opinion that Battlefield 3 was much better than Battlefield 4. And I hold the opinion that Battlefield 1 is probably better than both of them. At least in my opinion. Again, maybe it's because I spent much more time with it, or something like that. But I really thoroughly enjoyed Battlefield 1. Because, in no small part, because it was different. Because it was this other kind of experience that, what other decent World War I games out there were there? I mean, a couple, but none of them were AAA. None of them were this huge studio making, putting everything into making a huge and expansive World War I game. And there's some stuff in that game I've never even done. Like, You know, after even after these years of having it, I've hardly flown a plane. I just got into flying the blimps because I've been, and no, I don't mean Zeppelins. I mean blimps. They have in the Turning Tides expansion the L-class blimp, which is actually really cool and fun to fly. I suck in it. I keep getting killed immediately, but it's fun to be in when somebody knows what they're doing. Anyway, I don't know. I love Battlefield. But the other thing is, so something that annoyed me, and that I actually never noticed until Battlefield 1, and I don't know how I never noticed this, because it's something that should sort of stick out in all the other Battlefields. Everybody looks the same. There's no customization. Coming off of Reach, even, like Halo Reach was one of the last games that had great customization, aside from Fallout, I guess, which maybe that's what spoiled me. But going into Battlefield and going, oh yeah, my character just sort of looks this way. It was almost disappointing. It was sort of annoying. Like, all of the British medics look exactly the same. And we want to talk about realism on the battlefield. Guess what? Not everyone looks the same, you racist. Come on, DICE. Come on. But that's, everyone got super pissed off about all the customization, all the crazy, they compared it to Fortnite customization in Battlefield 5, which, as I understand, they did tone back. But the thing that I'm very happy about is just the fact that the customization exists. Because I have, it's not like I was annoyed with it. It's not like I was going to return the game or, change my mind about how good the game is or anything like that with Battlefield 1 not having any customization. But the fact that Battlefield 5 does is great to me. And I don't care about there wouldn't have been these, there wouldn't have been these people here, or, whatever. I understand that it is a historic game. It's set in World War II, and there's a decent reason to stick to what should have been in those days. But if you're going to have character customization of any sort, it makes me happy. I think the fact that you can decide what you are, who you are, makes up for that. I think so. If you don't want to, if you think that it's right that things are a certain way, if you think that you're with the majority, then there you have it. Then you're not going to see ridiculous things out on the battlefield. Of course, if a lot of people are going to do weird stuff, that means that there's a market for it. I don't think you should necessarily shut out people's creativity. It's not like you're trying to show the horrors of war. You're playing a game. If you were trying to show the horrors of war, then, you could limit it. You could make it, okay, you've got this and this and this and this. But, having a game, just any game, period, is almost not conducive to, it's perfectly conducive to proper storytelling, but I think it's not conducive to telling something or having something that isn't in some way fun or engaging. And war, on the face of it, should not be fun. As, being the big hero is all well and good. It's all wonderful and, whatever. But most people don't get to be the big hero. Most people don't get to live to see who the big hero was. And Battlefield 1 is being set in World War 1 especially. World War 1 was a slaughterhouse. World War 2 less so, because you had a lot of things that, a lot of updates in medicine that could save people's lives. But even then, when you're on the battlefield and and your friends are dropping left and right, if you're making a movie or that sort of thing where you don't have control, then and you're not there to have fun, quote unquote, then there can be some gravity to that. But when you've got people dying left and right of you in Battlefield, that's just frustrating because now your teammates are dying and you can't capture the point or whatever. It's difficult to really get across that loss, that proper feeling of losing in war. And oh wow, we filled all this in. Holy crap. And I don't know. It's a poor argument, I will admit. I definitely get the idea that if you're representing World War II, it should be represented by the people that fought in World War II. And, for the most part, that is, I feel absolutely true. But at the same time, you have a wide and diverse audience that's going to buy your game, and the fact of the matter is, when you're playing that game, you are in World War II. And if you can't make that character that is you, whatever it may be, then, then people might not feel as immersed. I mean, let's be honest though, you don't look at your character very much in any game. And yet people love character customization. If you're in a third-person game, yeah, you might see the back of your head pretty often. But in most games, you're going to be putting on a helmet or a mask or something like that a lot of the time. If you look at a lot of these RPGs like Skyrim or Fallout or, anything like that, you're going to be wearing stuff. You're not going to be looking at your face very often. But it's not just about looking at your face. It's about being comfortable with it's about identifying with the person who you are playing. There's, that, being able to do that is something that's made, good games into great games a lot of the time. It's a lot of the reason why certain games have very quiet, or silent protagonists, like Portal or Halo. They want you to put yourself in the shoes of the protagonist. They want you to feel the things that they feel. And while Battlefield, on the battlefield, isn't really telling a deep story, when you're playing Conquest or whatever, you can at least feel attached to the person that you are behind the controls of. You can, I don't know. Again, maybe it's a weak argument, maybe it's not great, but I just hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, at least to an extent. I like the idea of character customization, and when there is customization that's severely gimped or limited, it feels like I've been bamboozled, I've been had. It made me think that I could put myself into this game, and for whatever reason, now I can't. Elite Dangerous did that to me. I got Horizons, and I was finally able to change up the hollow me, what I look like. And I couldn't make me look like me very much. It was difficult. So, I don't know, it was a little bit frustrating, if I'm gonna be honest. Oh, we are so tantalizingly close to being done with this. But I'm gonna spend the rest of the time grassing this up. Let's see, this kind of grass. So this is gonna be most of it. So yeah. I don't know, that's my 2 cents on that. I've not really been able to air that thought with anybody before because, I don't get into those discussions with people too often. But the gist of it is, whatever you think, the gist of it is, I am glad that they finally added some sort of customization so that you can be you on the battlefield. You are the one playing that game. You should be represented on the other side of the camera. Or on the other side of the screen, I should say. People, you're not able to recognize somebody by, if you have to recognize somebody by what their username says, I don't think the game has done a great job of customization. You should know what your friends look like, so to speak. Or, well, not so to speak, but just in general. Their avatar may look nothing like them. But once you recognize them, you should be able to recognize that. The other thing being, so this just crossed my mind. So as far as customization goes, some games do it really well. Some games don't do it that well. Some games you got to pay for every little aspect of it. Looking at you, Elite. Although you can customize your character a little bit, whatever. But I digress. You can't change anything on your ship without buying like a ship skin or anything like that. So they're using those microtransactions to fuel further development of their game. I'm not opposed to that, but it is annoying as somebody who wants to personalize their ships to have to go and buy a paint job, like with real money. So yeah. In War Thunder, you can add decals and stuff to the sides of your tanks. It's not that extravagant, but it is what it is. And I think that's all well and good. I think that's good enough. A game that excels with that sort of stuff is Rocket League. I love customization in Rocket League. You can do all sorts of weird, cool stuff to your cars. It's not even remotely realistic. It doesn't have to be. You can have a shark with a Hot Wheels track on top of your car and a planetoid on your antenna and wheels with skulls on them in a boost trail that's a flamethrower. And you can have all that on just one car. And, that's the kind of thing. I think Rocket League does such an excellent job of promoting itself and promoting creativity with its different cars, and the fact that you get to show that off in the end is really cool. I think Rainbow Six does an job of letting you do character customization, because you can only mix and match so much, and most of the stuff you have to buy if you aren't lucky enough to get it out of a crate, and it really doesn't make you look that different. But that's because you're not playing yourself, you are playing these operators. So, a little bit of give and take there. What's a game? I mentioned Halo Reach earlier. Of course, Halo, you're a Spartan. You don't get to see what you look like, really. But that's kind of the point, because you can imagine yourself under that armor. You can make it a male or female model, so, that's all well and good. But Halo Reach had one of the deeper customization systems in terms of armor of all the Halo games, if not the deepest. As Bungie's last hurrah with the Halo saga, they got a lot of things right, I would say. And so, yeah, that's one thing that everyone points to in the Halo community as doing a really good job of character customization. And I firmly, thoroughly agree with that. And I think Halo Reach was a great game for plenty of other reasons, not the least of which being the incredibly well-done Forge mode, and pretty good multiplayer. People did grouse about armor lock and armor abilities and stuff like that, and yeah, I can understand it, but it was a Halo game for a newer time. Lately, Halo 5 has done a pretty good job of balancing the modern-esque sort of loadouts and sprints and abilities and that sort of thing with the old school, sort of what Halo fans really want and what Halo gamers are really expecting. Halo 5, to my knowledge, because I don't play it very much because it doesn't have split screen, which is the disappointing part about it. That's the biggest misstep that Halo probably ever took, was the removal of split screen in Halo 5. And I would play the hell out of Halo 5 with Madison if it were split screen. That's the issue. I don't want to play Halo 4 because, let's be honest, Halo 4 multiplayer, despite being pretty cool, is kind of garbage. It's probably the least of these in terms of Halo multiplayer experiences, whereas Halo 5, I would argue, is the best, if not one of the best. It's very tight, the gunplay is very good. They took all the lessons from Halo 4 as to what they did wrong, and they made good from that. At least in my opinion, they did. And I only experienced it for a little while, but I think that they did an excellent job with Halo 5 multiplayer. Now, going back, playing the Halo Master Chief Collection stuff, I really did have a blast with the older multiplayers, and I even enjoyed some Halo 4. So, despite being the least of these, it is still okay. It is not bad by any means. It's just not... It's not what you expect out of a decent Halo title. And, playing the different kinds of Infection and Slayer and, that sort of thing, and all the objective game modes and whatever, I had a lot of fun going back in time to when I was younger, to when I was little almost, and playing those games at a friend's, playing Halo 3 at a friend's house, going over like every day, that sort of thing. It's fun. It's still fun after all these years. And if you have an Xbox One and you have, whether or not you have the Master Chief Collection, if you don't, I'd say pick it up. If you have it and you put it down because the multiplayer was shoddy, it's time to pick it up again. They have done huge overhauls to the matchmaking, to the multiplayer itself, to the filters, to the selections, that sort of thing. It's great now. It is everything that I have previously hoped for, wrapped in one game. And the fact that you get 4 campaigns with it, and, well, you get 5 campaigns. You get Halo CE 2, 3, 4, and ODST, 3 ODST, which is, as far as I know, a very, very good game. I have not played that one yet, but that's something that I've been meaning to get to, and that I will eventually get to with Madison. The thing that I'm missing, the thing that's unfortunate, is that you cannot do more than 2-player split screen on any of the campaigns. I'm not sure what the reasoning is for that. So the co-op is limited to 2 players. The other thing that it's missing, if it had Reach, although I get it, I get why that's not in the Master Chief Collection, but I would like it if it had Reach. Because Reach, again, great multiplayer, great customization, fantastic firefight. Firefight is hands down one of my favorite. It's my favorite horde mode probably of any game I've ever played, and it is fun. It's really fun, and it's relatively easy, and it's super repeatable. It's not like the campaign where it's like, okay, I've gone through this, I get where the enemies are going to be, I get what I've got to deal with here. It's different for the most part every time, and you can turn on the skulls and play that, and the replayability on Firefight is through the roof. And I really miss that. Although I can do backwards compatibility now, I still have my Halo Reach disc. I haven't tried putting it in and seeing what happens. But I could probably get away with playing Firefight. Still need more controllers, though. Xbox controllers are so freaking expensive. Controllers in general these days. Just the hardware. Hardware is expensive. I'm rocking this Cytec ST290 Pro joystick that I use for War Thunder and Elite Dangerous and other stuff that needs a joystick. It's fun, but man, this thing is showing its age, but I'm not about to drop money on a new joystick. They're not cheap. And Elite, sometimes I would argue that Elite deserves a lot more than a joystick. If I were to get VR, it would be for Elite Dangerous, because that game is gorgeous, and it just gets better. And that is one of the most immersive games, especially when you have all these controls and stuff. There are people that have set up almost flight sim-like things to play Elite Dangerous, because it's the kind of game where you can do that with. It's not space combat sim, it's not space exploration sim, It's not space trucking sim. It's just space sim. You get a spaceship, and you do what you want with it. You can be a pirate. You can be a warlord. You can be an explorer. You can be a delivery man. A hauler. You can be a miner. You can be a bounty hunter. Like, you can do all sorts of stuff. And currently I have one ship that I do for basically everything. You can haul passengers on sightseeing missions or just as transportation. Like there's so many things you can do in that game. It's never ending. And you could call it a grind fest, but really if you're not enjoying the gameplay, then don't play. You play games to enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying what you're getting out of it, then you shouldn't be playing it. People complain about the grind. You don't have to play. And I know it's like, oh well, I want this thing. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If you're grinding for something in War Thunder or grinding for something anywhere, I can understand it. It takes a long while to get to something. But I wouldn't say do it just for the sake of that thing. I'd say you should be enjoying the game, even if you're grinding, even if you're doing this thing. It should have a rewarding gameplay loop. Because if you think about it, when you get that thing, whatever that thing may be, say it's like the Tiger, or the Anaconda in Elite Dangerous, what are you going to do with it that's different than what you're already doing? You're going to say, I got it, and then you're going to get off the game forever, or you're going to play with it, and playing with it is probably not any different than the grinding you're doing right now. So if you're not enjoying yourself now, do you really think that you're going to enjoy it later? When you're, when you have the thing that you want, how is it going to be different? What's going to be different about it? And I don't know. That's why, I've thought about doing some grindy grind for Elite Dangerous. And right now I am going on there and doing some high price missions to get up some money for a second Python. But it's not like I'm trying to get an Anaconda for the sake of getting an Anaconda. I want a second dedicated ship so I can do all the cool mining stuff, and I would like another one so that I can do the exploration stuff. And I do have another one that I should probably refit, but it's like, I just want a fleet of Pythons. And I wouldn't call it grinding. I'm enjoying myself. I'm going in on the daily, going in and finding the high price missions and flying around for a little bit. It's not crazy. It's not, it doesn't take up hours after hours after hours of my time. I'm going on, I'm having fun for a little while, and then I'm getting off, I enjoy myself. And I enjoy watching that cash come in. If any of you guys have Elite Dangerous, I'd be happy to squad. We don't have, a group for it or anything, but there's only one other person that I actually know that has the damn thing, and I don't get to play with him very often. So, I would like, I don't know, I'd like some companionship maybe in the deep black. The thing is, the other thing is you can hunt aliens. There are aliens. They're not like Vulcans, but they'll mess you up. I'll just say that. They're called Thargoids, and there are some other things out there that I don't know what they're called, but they'll mess you up. But anyway, they made some huge changes to exploration and mining this past patch, and that's why I'm interested, because I want to play with these new systems, and part of me, I want to go out and I want to experience these places. I want to go out and visit locations way out in the black, and put my name on some systems and that sort of thing. A tiny, tiny fraction of the systems in the game have been visited by humans. I think it's like 1/3% or less. And I would love to put my name on some of those systems. I want to discover some. And being able to do that, or, being able to go out and do that is exciting. The prospect of it. I just need the right ship for it. Now, right now, I've been running cargo and passengers, which is something that I'd been doing before because I enjoy doing that. Some of the passenger missions are a little bit monotonous, which is why I've been avoiding them. I'm not really super enamored by just jump and then jump and then jump and then jump and then jump. Even though I could totally do that. I could spend my days doing that. It wouldn't be hard for sure. But what am I getting out of that? I'm sitting there and pressing a button and probably listening to a podcast or something. I'm burning time. I could be doing something much more interesting with my time than pressing J over and over again. So, I don't do those missions. Instead, I do the missions that are just between a couple of systems, and I return to my home systems, and I build up my reputation with some people, and they give me much more expensive missions, and sometimes I take on something a little bit dangerous. Now, one of the things that you can do in the game is you can salvage. And salvaging is really fun to me, because you fly in there, you find some junk, you grab it, and, you take, like, the black box or whatever, and you bring that to the person who wanted it, and then you take the other junk and you sell it. And the other, it normally doesn't get you much, but it's something. And, you might get a little bit in trouble for flying around with junk that you stole off of a wreck, but, whatever, not a big deal. The thing is, the more high price smuggling, or not smuggling, you can do smuggling too. The more high price salvaging missions to get these black boxes off of some high price ships, there are some unfriendlies out there. And they will just show up on you. They will just show up and gank you while you're trying to pull these black boxes out of the wreckage. And so one of my goals in the not-so-distant future is to put together a ship of mine that can withstand lots and lots and lots of hits from... and basically do nothing else. I want it to be a fast ship, and I want it to be tanky. It does not have to have weapons. It does not have to have anything except for some limpets, which are little robots that go out and grab things for you, and some hefty shields and some decent engines, so that I can escape when they show up and try to screw me over. Now, that might not be as possible as I might hope. We shall see when that time comes around. But that may just be the way it is. I'm thinking about, okay, how can I really make my ships, because right now I have one ship that I use for everything, and I mean that. It's called the Snake of All Trades, and because it's a Python, it's Snake of All Trades. The name of the ship is actually Darien Gap, and the flight number, whatever you call it, the tail number or whatever, is URY-50 or 51. Yeah, it's 51. And anyway, that's that ship. And I have a couple other ones. The Brunswick, which I don't remember what that one's tag is, and then the Meredith Rodney McKay, which is like my what ship is that? It's my exploration ship. Yeah. But again, I haven't used those guys in quite a while. I'm really just using my Snake of All Trades. So, I've been outfitting it and re-outfitting it so that it can handle a lot of different jobs at once. I can juggle a lot of things. If I show up at a station and they say, oh, we need this, then I can just go and do that mission. I don't ever have to turn anything down, really. And so, in doing that, I started to realize, okay, for these missions, I really need more of this. Like, I might need more cargo space for something, or I might need, more limpets, or I might need better mining capabilities, or exploration capabilities, that sort of thing. I might need better passenger capabilities, or with these salvage missions, I need better shields and hull reinforcement, so that I can get in, and even if I take a lot of hits, I can get out, still. Because you can totally get, just eviscerated if you show up and lollygag just a little too long. So, yeah. That's just the way it is. I don't know. So, but that's, I've been thinking a lot about that. What do I do to make my ships better? And, the first thing is, well, now I need more pythons. Pythons come in at about $54 or $56 million a piece. Thankfully, my home station, I can buy them there, but it's expensive, and it takes a lot of money to get a decent ship, much less a lot of them. So, the goal is to have all these different pythons for different purposes, but it's difficult to get all that money. So right now I have one, and I'm working on python number 2, which is going to be a mining ship, probably. Because mining, again, like I said, just got an overhaul, and I love mining. So, that's going to be that, and I'm still probably going to keep the snake of all trades around for generally doing whatever. Because I've put work into it, I've engineered it, which engineering is the thing you can do to soup up your ship. And, I don't know, I'm trying to sort myself out in that game. I have to put more time into it before I can really get anywhere. Because, like I said, I'm just going around and running around and doing miscellaneous hauling missions. And I haven't, I could refit the ship that I have, but I want a second one. I want many. I want plenty. So, the wait will continue. The grind will continue, as much as I hate calling it that, and disparaging games for having it. You've got to do work. You've got to get the money, and I'm trying to get the money. So, at like $1 million a mission, and I can run a mission in, only a few minutes, it won't take me that long, really, to get enough for another Python. I just don't have a lot of free time. And if I wanted to go well and above that, I could get a Type 9. And a Type 9, people have called it pretty good for, what it is. Crap, I'm forgetting now. It's a hefty but fairly lightly armored cargo hauler. The issue with it is it's huge, and it needs a fat, large landing pad to dock at, which makes it difficult to dock it at far-flung outposts or smaller stations. So, as much as I would like one, it's not really a good idea. It's not a great idea, at any rate. So, anyway. So that's that. There are other missions other than hauling things, as I explained. But that's what I do best. So that's what I do the most. And that's, the easiest for me. Because then I've got, hauling is so easy. All you need is cargo racks, and you just go from one place to another. If you're smuggling, it's a little bit trickier, because you've got to get in without being noticed, or else you'll get slapped with a nice hefty fine. But, sometimes that's the price you gotta pay. The other thing is bounty hunting. I do that sometimes. I have the Snake of all trades has a couple of decent guns on it that I've upgraded. And you'll go over to a place where there are a lot of ships sort of congregating, and you'll scan everyone, and you'll see if they're wanted. And if they are, then you're free to open fire. If they're not, you get in trouble, and then you're the one wanted. So don't do that, and don't accidentally shoot the police, because they'll probably be trying to help you take down a wanted criminal. So, anyway. Would this look better as like a... Yeah, you know what? Hold on. I have an idea. I'm trying to really sell this game here. It's a great game. It was just super on sale. I'm not sure if it still is. So I sort of missed the boat on that, but this is going to be late anyway because I'm recording it on a Saturday. I apologize. It's an early Saturday afternoon. And, well, actually, it's like mid-afternoon now. And I'm trying to wrangle up everyone to do the podcast, but I had to get this out of the way first. So, yeah. That's life. That's my life. With the way the podcast has changed to be 6 available people instead of just 3 and then a 4th taken from wherever, it's made things a little bit easier, but not as easy as one might hope. It still can be very frustrating to get everyone to get their ducks in a row, or for me to get my ducks in a row, or my engineers and firemen in a row, as it were. and to make the damn podcast. Now, as of me saying this, I still haven't moved all the links into the document, which is one of the more time-consuming things that I have to do for setup. But, that's just, it's going to have to wait. It's going to be something that I'll do during setup for the show while we get everyone to come around, which normally takes some time at any rate. It's not something I like doing while I'm doing anything else, because it takes up all the RAM on my computer, because I try to open as many articles as possible at once, and there are a lot this week. I'm fairly certain there are quite a few for these past couple of weeks. So, yeah, this'll be a trip, that's for sure. Getting this done. I'm trying to get all this done. We're almost done with this area. We'll be able to move on probably next episode. And I'm going to be so happy. We've got another 20 minutes in this episode. Let's see. We've got all these areas done. All this area done. Down here, not done. But I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. We'll have to figure that out. Probably base it on the swamp to some extent. This area needs working. This area needs, and this area needs. So, this, and this are all we need before we can move on from this location and head, up this way. Get these two done. And then head out that way. I did do some of this work here. I think you guys were here for that. I didn't do any more copy-pasting because I didn't want to crash my game. Because I was usually doing testing with the AI. But I didn't even get to show you guys how Doe Cliff is looking. It's not really looking any different. There's just a loop of track in there. It just goes down one straight, takes a left, takes a left, takes a left, and then takes a right to head back the way it came. But it works, and that's the important part. The important part is it does what it's supposed to do. The trolley drives down there, and then around the loop, and then back, and then around the other loop. And for the most part, everything is pretty much working. I'm glad that everything's working as well as it is. The only issue is my new freight train that I just installed totally conflicts with the Olive Yard switcher. In the most literal way, they collide. So I need to change that, but I need to figure out how to make that work. I added some more signals to the VMR. Hopefully they will not cause trains to end up nose to nose. Ideally. But that's just what you get sometimes. And if I have to start making an interlocking tower to run the VMR, or that section of the VMR, to prevent trains from occupying certain areas, then so be it. Yeah. We'll blow up that bridge when we come to it, as previously stated. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it, is the best metaphor there. A metaphor is two metaphors, or a metaphor that's mixed up in a certain way. It's messed up. So, like that, or, even a blind squirrel is right twice a day. That sort of thing. There are some good ones out there. Those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head. Are you like, does the Pope crap in a funny hat? That sort of thing. Like, does a bear crap in the woods? And does the Pope wear a funny hat? That sort of thing. If a tree falls in the woods and hits a bear, I don't know. It's a bear that's taking a dump. Anyway, alright, so I'm still missing patches. I'm going to need to do the other one after this. That's going to be just as annoying. But, once we get all this grass in, things are looking better. Things are looking up for us. So, if there's anything that you guys think that I need to address on this map, or not on this map, you can feel free to post a comment, and I will read it aloud on the show, and I will discuss it. I did notice that I got another comment from somebody on another episode of something, asking about, when is the next episode of The Iron Horseman coming out? The answer, we're working on it. We finished a scene the other day. It was good. It was a good time, but I haven't had time to work on it since. You know, sometimes when you come back from work, you really just gotta decompress. It's difficult to psych myself up to work on The Iron Horseman when I've had a long day at work, or had a day where I had to make the podcast, or this, or something like that, and there are very few days where none of those things are true. And even then, sometimes you just want to sleep, and I just want to hang out with Madison, and, you know, it sort of goes that way. I wish there were more people that had the tech and the expertise, whatever, but unfortunately that is not something that we have, so it leaves it down to me a lot of the time, which means that things go slowly, because I am not a one-man band. I can't do everything by myself. And when I do have to do everything by myself, I have to spend a lot of time learning what it is that I'm supposed to be doing and figuring it out. Especially when it's not my script, because I don't know what's coming. There have been plenty of times where things have been made much easier by myself having written scripts and then knowing what has to come in the scene, and so I just film it without even looking at the script, or you know, with minimal reference to. And then I put it together, and boom, I'm done. Everything, you know, the scene's finished. But, you know, with To Rule the World, because I didn't write it, it's more difficult for me to sort of figure out, okay, how do I set this up? Because also, when I go to write, when I go to write a script, I try to keep in mind, okay, what can I do in trains? You know, what can I do with the route and the engines and stuff? So, you know, I try to keep in mind my own limitations and that sort of thing. You know, it's difficult when you're not in tune with all the different aspects of it. I can get why it's, you know, the scripts sometimes seem a little bit disjointed with what I can do, because if you haven't done it yourself, it sometimes feels like you can do anything. You know, it's, when you're playing with trains here, it's you know, super sandbox. You can do whatever the hell you want. But if that were true, the series would be a lot more extravagant, and we wouldn't have somebody holding a cell phone in To Rule the World. That's something that I'm going to have to point out, because obviously people are going to be like, oh, how, you know, this is the 1950s, you have a guy with a cell phone. What's wrong? But, you know, something's wrong with this. What have you done? The amount of models that we have access to are not, is not infinite, and we don't have anybody that makes them. So, unfortunately, we're stuck with, you know, we're trying to match what you see in the Gary's Mod footage, and so we're stuck with models that it's like, okay, this guy's wearing the right color suit, we're just going to have to use this model. That's it. There are no two ways about it. There are no options. We just have to use this suit. You know, this guy, and he has a cell phone. It's 1950, but at least he's wearing the right colors. We found that issue because the Gary's Mod models are, you know, sometimes more limited, sometimes not than the trains models for people, I should say. And so Jerry is wearing like white. He's wearing like a white shirt or something in the scenes inside, and then of course he's always wearing his plaid otherwise. And you know, it makes things interesting and difficult. It's going to be really interesting. Now, see, the thing with the feature, the thing with To Rule the World, is it's almost as much a character story, like with the humans, as it is with the locomotives. And that makes things difficult because it means you have to film things in Gary's Mod, and you have a lot of scenes in trains where it's just little people models talking, and that's not great for the show. It's not great to make. It doesn't look great. So I try to avoid that as best possible. You know, we try to skirt around the idea that, and you know, acknowledge but skirt around the fact that the engines do have crews, for the most part. And we've never set any hard terms with how the contracts really work. You know, even if the engines are paid in money, which the evidence is that they are. We sort of mentioned that. But, you know, that how it works when an engine's retired or you know, things like that. We've danced around those subjects because it's difficult to do and not make it sound like either slavery or make it sound completely ridiculous that there in a world that is so similar to ours, and yet this, that, and the other, you know. So, you know, we've really tried, and I've certainly done my best to work out something that makes at least an iota of sense with how locomotives and other vehicles and humans of the horseman world interact. So, it's, you know, it's an ongoing process. I'll think about some things, I'll toss some ideas around, somebody will say something and it'll make me go, oh, you know, that makes a lot of sense. You know, maybe I'll do it that way. And, yeah, I don't know, something struck me the other day, and now I've completely forgotten what it was, which is a shame. There's not enough, I don't have just an ideas document. Usually, if there's a good idea, it goes someplace, but there are times where I have ideas for something that's way in the future, and I don't want to spend time working on that, because I know that if you spend time working on, something that's going to be way down the line, and never the stuff that's, that you have to do right now, you'll never get to that other stuff. You're getting to it for no reason. At least you got to try to do stuff in order. And I did a lot of the script writing for the next season already, but the fact of the matter is, I at least wrote the scripts in order. Where I couldn't film, I could at least write, because you can do that from pretty much anywhere. Whereas to film, I have to be here at this computer. I sometimes need a whole bunch of people. So, it makes things difficult, and it can be very tricky, and that's why it takes so long. That's why it's taken years to rule the world. And it's not even like, oh, it's been years of effort. It's just been years of not having enough time to put in the effort that's supposed to be put. And I really feel bad about it, because I know that it's going to release and people are going to be like, oh, okay. I guess this is what we get after this long. And I genuinely feel bad about that, and part of me is afraid to get to that point. But I know that we've just got to release it and push past it and move on. Because we've got more stories to tell. We've got more episodes to make. So, I don't know. As much as it could, as good as it could have been, the time slipped through our fingers, and now we're in an era where it is so difficult to make that. And there's a reason why, this and Zombie Train and the podcast are the only things, left on the channel, because I just don't have time. This I make because I'm devoted to getting Tolbrin done, and the podcast I make because I'm devoted to the podcast. That's an important feature. That's putting the news together for the week and doing Locomotive Verses and stuff like that. I do the best I can to make it a good and interesting program. Getting all the news and, getting people to talk about stuff. We're 100 some odd episodes in. 100 some odd episodes in, and, we're still going. And I think it's gotten much better than it once was, but it's like, alright, I've got to dedicate the time to this. If I didn't dedicate the time to that, obviously it wouldn't happen, but I don't think it'd be supplanted with anything else. These are the shows that I feel the biggest connection to, that I'm the most dedicated to. They're like Transport Fever, yeah, it was cool, but we got to a point where I'm not sure that I could have completed that. The Building podcast, it's really nice to make, but it's the kind of thing where I need to have the free time to go on the server. The Zombie Train is relatively quick and easy to make. It just sort of delays this coming out, but that's not a big deal as long as I get out one a week. And even then, it's completely dependent on the questions I've been asked. And eventually, probably, my supply of questions will dry up, and then the Zombie Train will come to an end. And so we'll be left with Under Construction and the podcast. And, that'll be that. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm much more, the Iron Horseman weighs far heavier on my mind than anything with this channel does. Because the Iron Horseman, it was a production, it was beautiful while it lasted. We had a following, we had a great time, and, I really felt like I had created something worthwhile. And now it's hanging on by the skin of its teeth as I struggle to get out one scene or the next out of this monstrosity that is To Rule the World. And, you know, I do my best, but it takes so much time. And there's only so much effort that I can give. And I feel like I'm making excuses now, so I should probably shut up about it. Because, you know, it does weigh on me. It does weigh a lot on me. And it kills me that it's taken this long. And that I just don't have it in me to finish it. But, you know, one of these days it'll get done, it'll get out, and then we'll move on. The thing with it is the episode that's waiting right after it is done. It's done. It's finished. It has, I think, the intro, even, I probably made the credits, like, it is all set already. And it's amazing that To Rule the World has taken this long when that was done forever ago. I did it while we were waiting for some other stuff to get done with To Rule the World, like get lines in or something like that. You know, I made the other episode because I had all the lines. And then we've been sitting on it for literally years. It's been done. But we can't put it out before To Rule the World because it would be out of order. And I can't just put it out on its own anyway. So, I don't know. It's a pain. To Rule the World is such a pain. I wish it was easier, but oh well. Set some more time aside for it. Get some more done with it. One of these days it'll come out. I hope. But anyway, yeah. When is the next episode of the Iron Horseman coming out? At some point. I won't even say it soon because we're not halfway through. We aren't, and I'll be the first. You know, I'll be the first to admit that we are not halfway through filming To Rule the World, and I don't think things are going to pick up. In fact, things are going to get slower because now we're getting to a point where we never got all the lines past like scene 8, and so that means we're going to have to track down voice actors that we haven't spoken to in years and get them to finish their lines that were never submitted 2 years ago. So, yeah. It's a son of a gun. It's our project, though. It's my project. And it still matters a lot to me. You know, those characters, that universe, we didn't build it for nothing. It's a big deal. And, hopefully someday we'll be able to do everything we wanted to do with it. Tell all those stories we wanted to tell. So, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you guys if you sat through the rants and tangents for this long. Just know that I really appreciate you guys watching the show. Appreciate when I get comments, and I appreciate responding to them. I like the interaction I have with people here, and I liked the chit-chat, or the sort of community that we had developed around the Iron Horseman as well. Anyway, let's go take a look at that trolley line now that I've done... Oh, wait, no. Did I? Nope. This is not grasped. I haven't done this side at all. Oh, there's so much more. Just when you think you're done, you're not done. You're never done. It's never over. That's going to be the thing with Tolbrand. Tolbrand is a monstrosity. At least I know I can work on it. At least I'm being held accountable by putting these videos out and showing that, yes, I'm working on this route. Yes, I'm doing this. I'm filling in this grass. But the Iron Horseman, I can't do that. That'd be spoilers. I don't want to do that. And I really can't because what would I be doing? Filming my filmage? Like, I don't know. Hypothetically, if I really wanted to, I could drag it out. I could release like one scene a week. But then I'd be back to trying to produce a scene a week. Or, well, I used to be able to produce an episode a week. But I don't have the time for that. I can't even finagle that anymore. I used to have weekends totally empty and free. Now I have to do stuff on weekends. Now that I'm, not in college and don't have, the time during the week to do this kind of stuff or any kind of stuff. maybe things will get better later. Maybe I'll have more free time in the future, but it doesn't look like it. I don't expect it. Unless a miracle worker shows up and is like, I can film and edit. And I'll be like, awesome, I'll just be the creative director and you do all the hard work. Which I probably wouldn't even necessarily let happen, because I'm so attached to this stuff. But, if somebody volunteered, I wouldn't say no. But, I don't see the situation with the Horsemen getting better in the near future. Despite that, I want to continue working on it, and I am continuing to work on it. It weighs on me, like I said. So, yeah. We've already hit 2 hours. And I haven't even left this area. Let me finish up this grass here, because let's get the job done. I'll give you guys a little bit more time, although the guys on the podcast, if they're there, which they should have been there like an hour ago, they're almost definitely waiting for me. I have all this stuff to do today, because I don't have another day to do it. It's one of these weekends where I'm definitely not working on the Iron Horseman Chronicles, because I've got stuff to do on Saturday, and I've got stuff to do on Sunday, and this is all I have to do. Or, I had to do errands and Christmas shopping and everything like that. And then I get this done, and I have to set this to go while we work on the podcast, and then I get to do the zombie train probably tomorrow before I head off to a party. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Trainman out.